Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome, fellow masters. My name is Musashi, and today we're going to have a different type of video for you, ranking each servant in each class. And of course, I can't do such a thing on my own, so I enlisted the help of the lovely Tristan here. We are going to take on this endeavor together. With this little intro out of the way, let's just jump into it because we have 40 sabers to start off with. And I guarantee you, you're gonna love what we have to say. This video is brought to you by Opera GX. The Opera GX browser is the world's first browser for gamers. It is the tailored browser for the gaming community. For example, one of the coolest things that I like is the fact that you can put your Twitch, your Twitter, Facebook Messenger, even Discord can be directly on board in the browser. That's really cool. On top of that, it has a whole host of features that allow you to play your games with little interruption as possible. Like the fact that you can limit the CPU or RAM usage directly in the browser, as well as limiting the bandwidth that the browser takes up. It's a whole host of customization as well. It has forced dark pages, first of all. And second of all, you have multiple different ways you can color, customize background music, put your own wallpaper, the works. There's also the GX Corner, which tells you, one, what games are releasing and what dates for a good amount of time, as well as updated game news and free games you can just download. It links right to the website where you can download. So for real, I actually tried out Opera GX about a month or two ago just to give it a shot, and honestly, I love it. It's really good. I use it actually as my regular browser every day. Definitely give it a shot. Tell you what, I'll go ahead and put the download link in the description of the video. Go ahead and click it. Try it out for yourself. I guarantee you, you're gonna love it. And now back to the video. This is out of order because of how I saved the pictures. So we're gonna start off with Saber Alter. Where does she land here on this tier list?
Like currently, like right now?
Yeah, like right now. This is 2021 as they stand.
Well, I mean, my biased answer would put her at like A, but like my objective answer would put her at A+.
So your bias is to lower her, but objectively she's higher. Why is that?
Even taking into account like before, look at Salter as a unit and how she's grown and evolved, right? She was used a lot more than Artoria, like before Artoria had her battery, because she had the same NP charge on her overcharge that Artoria had, but did more damage than Artoria. As such, like as an AoE farmer, she was more valuable. Just because Artoria has a higher battery doesn't lower the value of Salter. Just the fact that Salter now has a battery just increases her value.
For me, it's the fact that she's story locked. If she was a permanent gacha, I'd put her in A+ right off the rip, because that way it's easier to get copies of her. Granted, you can always just pick her for like the free SR tickets, but we're not sure.
And that's why I think it balances out against the 5 stars, right? Because being a 5-star, you might as well be story locked. Right? Yeah. Gacha is as unforgiving as RNG, right? That is actually true. Getting a copy of a servant in any regard is nice and great.
All right, wow.
It's just, especially recently, considering the 5-star ticket that's coming up, that's the only time we've gotten that. So throughout the 6 years that this game has been out, we've gotten 6 4-star tickets. So hypothetically speaking, not saying people would do that, but you could have gotten Salter on 5 of those tickets and now have an NP5 Salter.
That is very true. Alright, you know what, I think I'll go with that one with the A+ for Saber Alter. Next, Saber! But now we come to the pretty boy, Vanilla Boy, Proto Arthur. He still needs some help.
He does.
And I think because of that, like he does get damage. But they still didn't change his large enemy to giant enemies. So I still believe that's different. Because David actually
his third skill is still technically a dead skill outside of the battery.
For me,
I would keep him at B.
You would keep him B.
I would keep him B because his second skill. Right.
Okay.
Like my bias would be put him at A because he just looks fucking cool.
The hood man. Look at
that. He's fucking cool.
Fucking
Sorry.
Proto Arthur with the drip.
But I would keep him at B because his third skill holds him back. but his second skill is a 3-turn 50% crit damage, and like a 30 bomb of crit stars.
Yeah, that's not
so like it's really strong. So like face card wise, he can kind of face roll a little bit if you work on a crit team with him, which is really nice and not too hard to do. In terms of like AoE farming, you know, we have Salter, right? Just base card's gonna be doing more damage. I also just think that the fact that he doesn't have a charisma really hurts him, because he only has that one steroid. His card, he's a double buster, double arts, but he only hits one time on his buster cards, twice on his arts cards. Right, so he kind of really suffers a little bit.
Being a cardboard cutout means you don't got charisma. Next, Saber. Next up, we got Artoria.
Regular Artoria, she should be like A+.
Yeah.
Like, I would keep her at A+.
For me, it's like she's been through so much. Like, I remember back in the day when Artoria first came out, you know, her last skill, because you know you level all these 5 stars, and that last skill that you get in the 3rd ascension, and it's a crappy instinct skill. It took a lot of time for Artoria to be really, really good, in my opinion, but they finally got there. Plus permanent, so you can always get spooked by her.
I wouldn't put her at EX. I would keep her at A+.
Correct.
You know, just like off the rip, because I don't think her second skill warrants putting her at EX. Is it a good skill? Yes. But like, it doesn't really change anything. It's still just a 1-turn like nuke, but it also forces you to choose, right? Like, oh, do I use it for a Noble Phantasm? Or if I have these crit stars, do I then use it for face cards?
Also, like, if it was for 3 turn, I think it'd be an easy EX, but 1 turn is
like, 1 turn obviously makes it a little bit more balanced, because it changes all the command cards to Buster, and it increases her NP damage, right? Like, it's a 30% NP damage up and a 50% Buster up. That's really strong.
That is really good.
But the fact that it's an NP damage up only for 1 turn, and the fact that it changes all of the command cards, like, you are now forcing players to choose between this or that, which in a gameplay sense, I guess you could say is part of the strategy, but it actually limits you and inhibits you, which should never be encouraged.
Next, Saber! Next up, Altera. My bias wants me to put her at EX.
My bias wants to put her at EX, but like, physically hurts me to say she's A. She's one of my favorite characters just in Fate in general. But like, she just belongs there, you know? Like, her NP is really bare bones. Like, it's one of the most basic bare bone NPs in the game. I'm not even joking. Like, no extra effect on the NP itself. Really basic overcharge. Already got a strengthening, yes, to increase the damage output, but it only hits 1 time. There's no extra buffs on it. No, like, doing extra things to the enemy. No special damage increase. It's just a flat 1-hit AoE. That's all it does. Her skills are middling. Like, she got her buff to natural body, but natural body even of itself is really rough, because we still don't really have offensive debuffs being applied to our servants even now. So like, you have literally half of the skill being dead in natural body, which is why you don't really see units with natural body anymore. And then her first skill got the military tactics upgrade to Scourge of God, which is really good, because it's a 3-turn 20% NP damage up and an AoE defensive buff removal from all enemies, which is incredibly strong.
Right.
But like, her entire kit still holds her back.
It's a shame.
And the fact that, once again, her command cards, right? Double Buster, double Arts, but she hits like once on her Busters, twice on her Arts, so on and so forth. So she's just really not hitting like as strong as she should be.
The year 1 servant suffers so much.
There's just more and more shit that they have to contend with.
It's not fair. Next, Saber! I'll tell you what else isn't fair. The fact that Bedivere is story locked. That's not fair.
He's like a solid B.
He's so good. Like
he's a solid B, and he's like 1 skill buff away from being like an A.
that shows you the power of the Saber class. I say 1, if he would have got another skill upgrade, he definitely would be A.
Yeah,
2,
like if he got a skill upgrade.
And 2, if he was easier to get as well. Like if you're forcing people to go into the hell that is story gacha.
And wait for very specific rate ups for him.
Exactly. He might as well be limited. Story gacha is just saying they're limited.
He has a flat 30% battery, which is like not bad. Like not bad in any regard. If he had like, I don't know, some kind of like neutral game attack up, like a basic like monstrous strength type skill or charisma, I think he'd be so much better. Yeah. Because that could scale multiplicatively with the buster up that he has, as well as military tactics that he has. Granted, you could buff the military tactics to something else.
Still really strong. The fact that you're standing next to Proto Arthur is good company. So yeah, no.
Well, it's where he belongs. He obviously has to be beside an Arthur.
Right. Next, Saber! Next up, we have Umu Bride, Nero Claudius
easy
Bride.
EX.
Yes. 100% yes. This is not a Nero bias, but we do love Nero at the Chaldean Gurus, but seriously.
I mean, like, Nero is one of my top, like, waifus of all time, but I don't even put her in EX because of my bias. I put her in there because, objectively speaking, she's, like, one of the best supports in the game.
She literally does everything you want her to do.
Oh, like, you want an NP generation rate? Alright, I got you. You want an attack up and a star generation rate increase? Alright, I got you. You want some healing and a defense up? Alright, I got you. You want me to walk the dog and do the dishes? I can do that too. I'll wash your car. I'll clean your bathroom. I'll go and unclog the toilet. I'll clean the drapes and I'll dust the blinds and I'll floof your pillow. I'll make the bed. I'll do the laundry. She just literally does everything. And then they buffed her.
Yeah.
They gave her a fucking targetable 30% battery on the 45% 3-turn NP generation rate up. So, like, you use her, you give a targetable 30% battery on top of a 3-turn 45% NP charge rate up. Like, you want to talk about looping? She's up there with Tomoe, Castoria, Scotty, Waver, Reigns, Merlin. Like, she's up there for supports. You can say whatever you want about, like, oh, she's a Nero and she's a Saber. She's obviously designed to be a DPS based off of her Noble Phantasm. But, like, you're not looking at the bigger picture.
Literally, SSR Swiss Army knife. She can be your DPS, but she can pretty much fit any other support role as well.
I can be your Angle or your Devol.
Oh my god! Ah! God damn it. Yes, our first EX is Nero Bride, and rightfully earned. Next, Saber! But next up, keeping with the Roman theme, we have Caesar. Hail Caesar!
A.
Really good. Really good.
I mean, I was gonna put him at A. I don't think he's on the level of the Artorias.
Really? Even with... Well, he is single target damage, isn't he?
Right, yeah, he's single target damage. His first skill is military tactics, yes. His second skill is charisma, yes. And his third skill is a targetable 40% crit damage up. Like, his skills aren't bad, but, like, he's lacking the necessary boost to really, like, push him over into, like, really broken levels. Like, yes, he's a perma 3-star, so you're gonna get the copies of him. He has the NP strengthening, which boosts his single target to the highest quick scaling, which is ridiculous numbers. On top of the buff that he has, which gives him a technically a 50% attack up, right? Which is really strong and really good. But, like, he's just missing, like, I don't know, NP gain rate or a defense up, something to make it so that he's not just this glass cannon.
That buff they gave him.
It was strong.
The fact that he has the potential to out-damage Okita, which hurt my goddamn soul. Like, oh.
That hurt my goddamn soul. Let me fucking tell you.
Just like, why you do my girl like this? Next, Saber. Deon. A different style of Saber this time around.
I would say B or C.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was middling between. Because they're a defensive base. They're like their tank base.
Like he's a tank. He's flat out a tank. He's not meant for DPS. He's not meant to do damage. He's there to draw aggro. He's there to make it so that attention's on him. You look at him, which he does like a really good job at. But like,
there aren't that many tanks in this game in general. It's like
we have some really, really, really good tanks. Two of them that come to mind that when we eventually get to them, I'll make riff of.
For sure.
I want to go with B because he does everything you kind of need to do as a tank, right? He has an evade, and the evade also gives him a 3-turn defense up, right? So you could essentially use it for 1 turn of guaranteed my tank will take no damage. And on top of that, all the damage my tank will take afterwards will be mitigated. Right? He then has a debuff removal on himself, right? So if he gets targeted, but instead of getting attacked, he gets debuffed, he has a cleanse, as well as a debuff resistance afterwards, right? So it makes it even harder. So following that, he then has his Noble Phantasm, which also is very stall-worthy, right?
Yep.
Lowers the attack, lowers the defense, and has a chance to charm.
Top of that, him being permanent and one of the free 4 stars you can get at the beginning of the game, there's a high chance that you have him or can get him. Or her, sorry, they can be whatever gender you want them to be. Which, sad backstory on that, by the way. But anyway, next Saber! Next up, this is easy.
Want to talk about a D-class servant?
There you go! Saber Liz! What the hell are you doing?
You look at the 3rd skill, and you're like, fuck.
Just ruins everything you're trying to do.
You wanna talk about a gameplay loop that fights you every step of the way? That's this skill, you know? This skill is the type of skill that will gut punch you and then ask if you want another.
This is also like the literal manifestation of that one bicycle meme when you put the stick in your own wheel. It's like, oh!
Yeah.
Damn it,
like
Nero! Fergus!
C.
Rock. You are so average. You're just very, very, very average Saber.
There's not really like a lot to talk about with Fergus. He's just really
Next Saber! Alright, next up we got Fran Saber.
I'd put her at a B.
That's what I was at. Her demerits, which people seem to be hyper focused on. Oh man, demerits, that means servant auto bad. Depending on the demerit, that's not the case. She's also summer servant too, summer variant. This summer servant is definitely just usually are really good. There's another summer servant that we're gonna talk about next time, which is clearly the worst of all summer servants in my opinion.
One of the worst units in this game.
Yeah, it's really bad. But Fran's fine. She's a good unit and she's adorable. My bias would probably maybe stick her up a little higher, but I know it averages out by the fact I know she's not that good. She's not.
My bias would be put her lower. I don't like Fran.
I understand why.
Like I don't like Fran, but she actually like objectively is rather good. Like yes, she has the demerit where she lowers her NP gauge by 10% to get an 80% NP charge rate. Like, okay, you really gonna be upset about that? A 3-turn 80%? Okay, guys. Right, she has an AoE buff removal on her 2nd skill while also being an attack down, right? And then her 3rd skill is a 3-turn 20% attack up and MP damage up. Like these demerits that she gives herself are actually really middling. Like they're really not that bad. They're not that much.
Next Saber!
You want to talk about a unit that I would have said was like B, maybe A, and then got a buff, and now I'm like, he's A+.
Yeah.
That's Gawain.
That is the Escanor of the Fate universe.
That's Gawain.
Gawain the Rock Johnson. But yeah, no, that... Yeah.
His 2nd skill got that buff that just... It completes him.
It went from Charisma E to Knightless Charisma B.
Right? Like, he went from a unit that needed a specific set of conditions to thrive, to all of a sudden being like...
Who decided that? I'm a middling Saber? Who decided that?
Cause like think about it, right? He had Charisma E, which is a at max like a 12% attack up.
Correct.
Then he gets a buff to get one of the highest attack ups for 3 turns, being 20% AoE, right? So now everybody gets a 20% AoE attack up, right? On top of his own 20% attack up that he gives himself, now being 40%. But he now gives himself Sunlit Battlefield for 1 turn, which then guarantees he gets that 3-turn 30% buster up, which now means that for 3 turns, he essentially has like 44 to almost 50% like buster performance attack up on a 3 buster like command code list.
Yep. It's pretty fucking good.
He will literally buff himself back and like to hell and back, slap you, and then you'll ask for another.
The strength is not coming out yet. I believe it's either this year or next year. But when it does come for NA, Gawain gets so much better. And I know a certain Soul Cora already loves herself some Gawain, especially according to the fan art. Next, Saber! Now, let's talk about Saber Gilles.
He's a C.
Oh, sorry, I was putting next to Liz. Are you sure he's a C? Even with the fact that he has a non-damaging Noble Phantasm, but for whatever reason gives himself an MP damage up?
Well, that's where, like, it gets really confusing, you know? Like, right? Like, as a unit, if you actually look at him, he's not actually that bad. People just hyper-focus on his first skill being a military tactic, so a party-wide NP damage up, and his NP not being a damaging NP. So they immediately correlate that as, oh, he gives himself an NP damage up, but doesn't do damage on his NP, right? But then you look at his NP, and it's a 50 to 100% attack up for 2 turns, and it's a crit star bomb, depending on, you know, overcharge. But then you look at his skills, and he has a 5-turn 40% buster up. That is on a 5-turn cooldown at max rank. So you can essentially have permanent uptime with this skill. And by essentially, I mean you can have permanent uptime with this skill. And so, as a double buster, double arts, while also having golden rule, right? Hypothetically speaking, he has what he needs to succeed. So he's not really held back by his skills or his Noble Phantasm. He's held back by his stats and just a unit basis as coming out in year 1, right? There are just other units that just do single target damage better than him. And because he doesn't have an NP that does single target damage, he relies on his face cards. But we have Gawain, who face cards like a god, and we have Bedivere, whose neutral game is just better than Gilles, right?
Agreed.
Like Gilles is like, if you look at him, you can see the framework of something that could have been great, but there was just not enough effort put into it. While in contrast, Liz had effort put into her, but she actively fights herself.
Shame. Truly a shame. Next, Saber! Next up, we gotta talk about Lancelot.
I want to put him at A+.
I also want to put him at A+, alongside his brother Gawain in arms, even if they didn't get along.
Even if they didn't get along.
They did not. But no, when you put me on that strat of, hey, yo, what if you put Lancelot, Hans, and Jean in a team, and you just proc all of their crit star generations.
And you have all of them with some crit regen CEs. Just watch what happens. And it's like, oh, that's what happened. Saberlot is just really good. Like, he hasn't received any buffs, like, at all.
Imagine if
he hasn't gotten an NP strengthening, hasn't gotten a strengthening to any of his skills. So slowly he's kind of getting out damaged by some recent servants, which is to be expected because of, like, you know, modern day servants having, like, literally everything. His cards hit a fair amount of times. 4 times on his busters, twice on his arts, 3 times on his 1 quick, then his extra hits 5 times. His MP charge rate is really, really good.
Yeah, 83%.
His star absorption isn't actually higher than the average of Sabers. He just somehow draws more stars than anyone else. But, like, he has a flat 30% battery. Like, that battery does not change. Like, level 1, that's a 30% single target battery that he gives himself.
The only thing you change is the stars with it.
Which is a 20%, like, star bomb. Second skill, Eternal Arms Mastery. Everyone should know what that does, but if you don't, it's a star absorption, 3k to 6k%.
For 3 turns.
And then his third skill is he generates 5 to 15 crit stars for 3 turns, and a 30 to 50% crit damage up for 3 turns. Like, he does a lot of damage. He plays into himself very well, and then his Noble Phantasm is like that nice icing on the cake, right? He increases his own arts performance by 30% flat before Noble Phantasm. So he buffs himself just like in terms of sheer damage right before the Noble Phantasm goes off. Then his Noble Phantasm makes it so that for 5 turns they will take either 1k or 3k more damage.
Depending on overcharge, which
is
good.
Really nice, because instead of it being like a passive like percentage defense down, no, they're just gonna take this much more damage no matter what hits them. Right? Oh, you have like a 4-hit quick card? Oh, it's just gonna do flat 1k more damage. That's nice. Though, I have an argument for someone better. You already know who that is. But
I do. We're getting there too, fastly approaching. But for now, he's good where he's at. Next, Saber! The first welfare servant technically in this game. Saber Lily. I say B. That's what I say.
I don't know if I want to say B or A.
Dilemma. I'm thinking minimum B. She's definitely not C or D level. Especially because her MP damage actually does a lot of things. Maybe I will actually raise it, because now she's actually in the friend point gotcha. I'm not sure if they took her out or what, but...
No, they didn't, but she's like Angra levels of rare.
Yeah, that is true.
Right, so she's quote-unquote 5-star, you know?
Yeah.
But, I don't know, she has the 50% mana burst, she has the 20% party-wide NP generation, but like, she needs a lot of help to get that NP to go off. She doesn't really offer the team a lot of things, but her NP does a lot of damage. But she's not, like, bad. She just doesn't have a lot going for her. Right. And I don't really want to put her below B, because C and D I like thinking of as, like, these are, like, objectively not great servants. But, like, she doesn't really have a lot going for her. Like, even Bedivere, Chevalier, Fran, Arthur, they have something going for them. They're just missing something to push them up. Saber Lily just is basic, and I think that's what holds her back.
And maybe it's just her skills.
Like, she needs something.
Yeah, I think B then for that case, because I like her. She's fucking cute. She just needs some more help. Next, Saber! But we gotta talk about the Knight of Rebellion and Mordred.
A.
Definitely in that A category.
I wouldn't put her at A+ myself. I would keep her solid A. Like, she has a battery, 30%. She has a 50% defense up on top of that, and it removes debuffs. It's a really loaded skill. That skill is incredibly loaded. Her third skill,
does a lot.
Secret of Pedigree, does a lot. It is incredibly strong, right? But she only has a 50% mana burst, right, for 1 turn. And then her second skill pisses me off, because I will die on this hill of I hate skills that are 3 times for 3 turns. I hate it when you limit it to the amount of hits that happen, because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's at that point, it's either do the 1 turn or 3 turns. Don't try to be like, well, you know, maybe you want to spread it out over the turns. Like,
that still doesn't make sense, because, you know, that's what 3 turns is for. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, but we have to take into account when they're solo. Then turn it to 1 turn.
It's a 5-turn cooldown as well, so it wouldn't be too out of the ordinary for it to be 1 turn. Plus, the first one, the first part of that skill, which increases critical star absorption for buster cards for 1 turn, is 1 turn. So, like, I still love her though. She's really good. I love her animations. Love the character. I would want to put her higher, but
like, my bias would be to put her at A+. But objectively, Like, she's just not on that level, you know?
Next, Saber! Next up, Shinmen Musashi.
Oh, easy. You already know. Yep, there it is.
A+. People gonna be mad. What do you mean? Not EX? Sorry, Redacted is not EX.
Sorry, Data Lost is not EX.
But she is a really strong single target Saber who got a buff on top, like on top of all of it. Like, okay.
Her buff is both good and bad.
It's kind of niche in a way.
It's really niche. Like, it's a type of niche that can have you think, all right, they're gonna add more of these types of enemies. So hypothetically speaking, you could look at it as like a form of like clairvoyance into the future of what to prepare for. But it also doesn't really add a lot because you don't really fight those types of enemies too often.
Yeah, but like ignoring that part, the fact that the damage gets increased.
Yeah, the damage gets increased, the MP damage, right? Like, half of that buff is really good. It's the other half that I'm like, all right, that lowers it a little bit.
Yeah, the 2/3 of the buff, good. That 1/3.
But like, she's still very solid. If you play this game, you know what Musashi does.
Yeah, you know why she's lorded as being.
You know why she's one of the strongest single targets in the game. You know why she's strong. We all know why she's strong. But she's lacking that like wow factor of what like Nero Bride can do, right? Like, there's just something missing from Musashi Saber that just would have pushed her into EX of like, yeah, no, begrudgingly, I would be like, yeah, no, you would be insane not to roll for Musashi, right? With Nero Bride's buff, I would literally tell you you're insane for not rolling for Nero Bride in like 4 or 5 months.
Next, Saber! Nero Claudius!
She's a solid A. She's a solid A.
I mean, for me, 6 after her is the fact that she's one of the first servers that I know that has a guts. 3 guts! Kill her once!
For 5 turns!
Kill her again! Nope. Sorry, I'm still here.
Her third skill is really strong. Her second skill is really strong. Her first skill now is really strong.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can farm with her, yes. I'm not saying you can't. She has a 30% battery. But she hits one time on her Noble Phantasm. So that's gonna really hamper your looping. So what does that mean? It means she's now a pseudo-tank sustained DPS. Right? She has a lot of HP. She has 2 different types of heals, and she has a guts. So she's gonna stay alive. Yeah. She's gonna be on the battlefield. She's gonna do damage. She's gonna keep doing damage because you can't kill her. That is the beauty of Nero. That is the incredible beauty of Nero Claudius 4-star Saber. She will just stay alive to do the damage you need her to do. She's not going to be flashy and incredibly in-your-face about it like Musashi or Gawain or Lancelot, which is why like she gets held back, because she doesn't have that insane pop-off ability. But the fact that she has all of this going for her just to stay on the battlefield, to be consistent, is why I would say she's A. Like, my bias, she's EX. She's Nero. I love Nero. Nero's, again, one of my top waifus of all time. But, like, you know, objectively speaking.
I say solid A.
Yeah.
100%. Next, Saber!
Now we have to make the hard choice. Now we gotta make the hard choice. Is she an A or is she an A plus, my man?
You already know she's A plus for me. What are you talking about?
But is she? But is she?
She is.
But is she?
Is
she though? No, you say she has to, but objectively speaking, is she?
That's because you really hate that when they turn to the second skill. But I argue that even with the not so great skill, it's the fact that it took her this long to get a buff, and she was still lauded as one of the best quick DPS, single target DPS in my opinion. Really solid.
Hits once on her Buster, 5 times on her quick, 2 on her arts, right? She has a 1-turn steroid, a 1-turn star absorption, a 1-turn evade, but a 3-turn crit damage up. But her NP hasn't gotten a strengthening, so it's still year 1 scaling. Is that bad? not particularly, no, but being a limited 5-star, you're likely to not have very many copies of her.
Nope. Not many.
So her single target NP damage isn't going to be as good as somebody else, right?
Of all Sabers, probably in this game actually.
No, she would be like top
1.09.
She would be top 50.
There's some people that have MP charge attack that's higher than that.
Yeah.
Really?
Steno has a fucking 2.1.
Steno is the exception.
Steno has a 2.1, dude.
And who else? And who's behind that?
Give me a sec. I will look this up right now.
No, look it up.
2 hours later.
I'm gonna have to put her in A tier, and I'm not happy with
And I'm not happy.
Oh my god. Fine.
I mean, no, we could put her in A plus.
No,
like,
she's EX in my heart, but she definitely.
I mean, I would never put her in EX.
I know you wouldn't, but it's EX in my heart. But I do understand.
Like, I would put her at A, but like an argument I feel could be made for A plus because of her ability to loop back to back with like quit, like NP double quick because of that NP charge rate that she has.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like the
only issue is that she doesn't really have neutral game. You know, like
she needs to battle
a lot of these
quickly.
A lot of these servants have like the issue of neutral game. Like, a lot of them do. Especially considering, like, Okita's, like, base stats as well. Right? They're not the high... They're not... She does have some of the highest... She's like 27th for attack. But, like, as a single target DPS, like, that's really good. That's great. But, you know, could be better. Could be, like, top 20. But she's not. She's top 30. And so that really... kind of sucks with her.
It sucks. I everything in my being is screaming at least A plus, but she needs another. She needs another. She needs something else.
I would be more alright with putting her A plus if her other cards hit more than once.
I'd be okay with putting her A plus without feeling guilty or the fact that the comments will destroy me if she got a buff to her second skill.
Like, obviously Musashi's gonna do more because her cards just hit more. That's just the nature of like card hitting. So it's just really, it's one, really unfortunate, and two, it's really not great.
Year one
just
servants.
for Okita.
Year one servants. I'm so sad. Next, Saber! Let's talk about Rama so I can feel better.
I want to put him at A plus.
No, he's no higher than A to me too. He's a very good buster crit, single target Saber. And with the added benefit, if you're going against a demonic enemy, he does more damage as well. His
NP kind of hits like a wet noodle. A little bit. It's certainly wet noodle-ish.
Yeah,
like
it's not the old. Well, yeah, no, it is actually the old values. So he needs that definitely. I mean, the fact if it's extra damage to demonic enemies, then he's fine. But by himself, definitely still needs some help. I could have swore this man got an upgrade at some point, but
no, he only got an animation update.
Damn, they need to look at him again, especially because he's a mainstay of Lost Boat 4. Yeah,
mainstay of also America. You know, but they didn't really touch him, even though they've touched everybody else from America.
That's a damn shame.
Like literally everybody else from America.
Next, Saber. That didn't make me feel better. Let's talk about Saber Shiki.
You want to talk about like an easy A plus could be argued to be EX? That's Saber Shiki.
And I hate that I have to agree with you on that, but I like Shiki, so it's fine. That buff that she gets very soon, actually.
It's part of the reason why she's almost like A plus. Sorry, is why she's almost EX. That's my bad.
I feel like she would be pretty much solid for A. An argument for A plus otherwise, but I feel like with the buff, easy A plus because she does like the most damage with that shit.
Like she does some of the highest AOE damage because of that. Like I think for a bit she did.
Yeah, it's insane because already her attacks ignored defense. But now she charges MP damage, and now the damage value has gone up even further.
Yeah, she's got really high values on her on her steroids.
Not bad.
She certainly does still suffer from like cards not hitting as much. Like,
yeah, one on the Buster, 2 on the Arts, and 4 on the Quick, looks like.
Yep. Really, really unfortunate in terms of that. But she does have connection to the root, which passively will just increase her damage on everything.
Which is insane. So that's a fucking CE. The CE does that, and she just has it as a passive.
She just has it as a passive.
That's fucking
But like,
insane.
she has the utility of a party-wide cleanse, the utility of a party-wide gauge increase, which is very valued. She ignores defense buffs to all enemies. She has a rather high insta-kill percentage.
She also has a really high-ass HP. She's tanky.
Yeah, she's really tanky. Like, she's easy A+.
Next, Saber! Next up, let's talk about Munenori.
Dude, I want to argue. I want to argue so bad for EX. I do. In my heart of hearts, I want to do it.
I was there
like
a couple picks ago.
but you know I can't. Nope. You know I can't. Like I want to. Like every fiber of my being is like, dude, I knew I would go through this exact same thing when we were talking about Okita, so I was like, I was gonna go all in on you, on just making you feel that way to make myself feel better, but I'm like, he's A+. He can't be EX.
No, he can't.
It's impossible. He'll never reach that height, and I'm
I mean...
Dude, he got that really nice buff, too.
Increases on crit damage 50 to 100%. It's not bad. It makes the skill better. But, like...
It's really good. It makes his entire, like... Everything in his kit is for 1 turn, right? First skill, 1 turn. Second skill, 1 turn. Third skill, 1 turn.
He's taking you down very quickly.
He is all about, I'm going to hit you once, and you're not going to get back up. He does his job very, very, very well. Like, incredibly well. There's a reason why when you are talking about premier single target arts damage, the first 2 units that are talked about are Yagyu and Lancelot.
Munenori, for sure. Deserving. At the very least, I think he needs to be fucking next to Lancelot. Because it's those 2, you think it arch crits and sabers, you look at those 2.
Like, even, like, he didn't have a crit damage up before this. Like, he just didn't. He just had 2 different attack ups. No, sorry, one attack up, 1 50% arts up, and that was it. And he still did some of the best single target arts damage. And now he just has a 100% 1-turn crit damage up. Like, okay.
Yeah, pretty damn good. It's gonna do way more damage. Next, Saber! Sigurd. Thinking...
I don't know how to feel about him. I'm gonna be real, I don't know.
He's either A or B for me. Like, his upgrade does give him something. Now his MP actually does damage.
His MP does damage, his MP reduces the enemy's MP gauge by 1. That's really strong. That's actually not bad. Like, it's incredibly good utility. You're gonna want that. It keeps him in the fight longer, and makes it so that, like, you don't have to waste your guts, because you can essentially buy a turn with that.
But his first skill...
His first skill is, again, 3 attack for 3 turns. So you're essentially either 1 turn or 3 turns of that shit, and that really sucks.
It's essentially almost a dead skill. Like,
there's also the fact that his 1 survivability skill is tied to his 1 steroid.
It's a couple weird things holding him back.
I don't know. I don't know. I legitimately don't know how to feel about him.
I feel like, well, I think the other thing you gotta add to the fact is that he's limited as well. So you're going all this for a 5-star, and unless you love Sigurd or you want to reunite Sigurd with Rin, you're getting a servant that's, I think for 5 stars they're just better ones. Next, Saber! Summer Meave! Thinking.
Like, the feeling I had with Sigurd, I have it again with Maeve.
Yeah. I guess for
And
me,
it's not even because, like, Medb is bad. You know? Like,
Mhm.
Medb's not bad. There's nothing bad about her. Like, I guess maybe the only thing really keeping her back is her attack stat, and the fact she doesn't really have a steroid outside of her third skill. Right?
yeah,
So
I
she
mean,
doesn't-
you could argue that the second skill, lowering arts resistance, helps in a weird way.
I mean, it does technically count as a face card buff.
Because now it makes her arts card hit harder. It's
Because
double arts,
it
double
would
luster.
it would scale multiplicatively with the third skill. I don't like her gimmick.
Of
personally.
the nice shot gimmick.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of
'Cause,
it.
like-
It's interesting.
I mean, it's interesting, but it's not consistent, so your damage with her is either going to be really good or really middling. And as a single target, I don't want that. I want to know what I'm getting, like, damage for damage, and I want it to be consistent, like, turn after turn, instead of, like, well, I'm either going to do 50k or 100k, and it's completely based off of RNG, random number generator, and I don't like that.
You know, that sounds like Caesar.
Yeah, but Caesar you can fuck with because of his HP values.
True. But I would say it's similar enough to where I think A is worthy, at the very least. I mean, you see her in B for sure, but I don't know what you exactly would buff other than just giving her a steroid. Like, an actual, like...
I would just buff her NP damage.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be all I can really see. If she's
You know?
one... I mean, I guess, if we're doing it that way, if B is, like, you're one buff away from being good, then I think, yeah, it's B. I'm gonna settle. Next, Saber! Going to Siegfried. You got a lot of buffs. You got a cool animation update.
He got 2 buffs.
You did.
He got an MP buff and a buff on his third skill.
Does that make him better than the person he is often confused with?
Makes him very B tier.
It's
You know,
it's a damn shame.
like, I don't say he's good. I will never say he's good. Right? People will get mad and be like, but he was so cool in an Apocrypha, or be like, I use him all the time with, like Georgios, and I'm like, that's the issue.
It's a
That's the issue right there. He's incredibly niche.
yes.
His niche is where a lot of his damage comes in. His niche is where you see a lot of use from him. But you have to fuck around with his niche. You have to, like, go out of your way to make his niche really good. And as a base unit, that doesn't help him. That doesn't do him any favors. His attack stat is already rather low for a DPS unit.
Mm-hmm. I believe that's lower than Neve's, or about Neve level. Yeah, no, I think B is...
And the fact that his
look at her.
NP only hits once, right?
Yeah, it hits once. Even with the MP upgrade, which increases the damage, it is still... Nah, that's not enough. It's not enough. Even Artoria's hit more than once, I believe. Artoria Alter, I know.
Artoria's hits once, Artoria Alter's hits like 3 times.
Yep.
But
Which is
Artoria
crazy.
has like 3 steroids.
Mm-hmm. Next, Saber! Suzuka! The JK Saber.
She's A. After her buff, she's A.
Oh yeah, she did get a buff. Fuck yeah. I have her NP5.
Yeah, she got 2 buffs. She got 2 buffs. One to her NP and one to her first skill. Her first skill still makes me mad because it's that, again, 3 times for 3 turns bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the fact that her crit star generation got buffed to 3 turns instead of 1 turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty
That
good.
like she can now like consistently generate her own stars. Like on Buster cards even.
Which
She
is
has
good.
she has like a rather good attack stat. Her NP got the strengthening that she needed. Cause it hits 10 times, and because it hits 10 times, she's gonna get at the very least 2 turns of like really good damage. Because first turn, you know, NP, 10 hits, generate as many crit stars as you can.
Mhm.
You're also getting 3 turns of 40% crit damage up, bare minimum, because of overcharge,
Mhm.
right? And then you also have her third skill, which is generating NP per turn.
I was just
So
about
you
to
can
mention
afford
that.
to not use arts cards or try to generate NP. You can like go for extra DPS. So
Yeah.
like those buffs really makes her a really solid unit, but I wouldn't say she's like up there.
But she is better than what she was. If she didn't get those buffs, I'd say she's a beat for sure. But with the buffs, it actually did bump her up another tier. Plus, she's a fox girl. Come on.
Yeah, the plus, like, I fetish, you know, fox fetish.
Look, Suzuka's cute, alright? Especially in the FGO Arcade Christmas version, which we'll probably never, ever get. Next, Saber! Saber Diarmund! Saber Diarmund. Talk about someone that's kind of plain Jane, but effective.
I don't know how to... He's not great.
I'm gonna put him in B for right now, but let's look at him. Let's look at him.
Like, I know Saber Diarmund pretty well.
Yeah, because you got him.
Because I got him.
Oh, man.
Stupid fucking perma unit. Eat my ass.
I mean, his first skill stacks multiplicatively already, a quick and an attack up,
But it's tied to his
evasion.
But it's tied to his evasion, and it's only one turn. And it's only one turn, right?
15 crit bomb with crit star absorption for 3 turns.
Right, he has a defense up with an MP generation up, right? Like, but he only has a single arts card, and his NP charge rate isn't nearly as high as Okita's to warrant looping back to back.
Oh yeah, no, it's not. It's 0.73.
Right, so like he's not gonna loop back to back like almost ever unless you crit, while Okita can do it face card. And like his NP does like nice damage, but the fact that he has an insta kill effect on his NP afterwards really lowers like his actual like damage output, because that could have been something else to help him. But the fact that it's an insta kill and he has nothing else in his kit to insta kill with just kind of makes it a dead effect.
And you can also rob of overcharge.
And it can rob of overcharge and overkill, which would actually be really important because he hits 10 times.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Next, Saber! Speaking of pretty boys, speaking of tanks, kinda.
Lanling Wang, solid A tier. Solid A tier. You could say there's an argument for A+ because of his supportive abilities.
Definitely.
Like, I would have no problem. Like, I would have no problem putting him A+, but I just feel solid putting him at A.
I feel more confident at A, but what he brings to the table is definitely very, very good. Like, just straight off rip, he gives himself an Oz buff 10 to 20%, and then he also can increase the attack 10 to 20% of the party.
No, it's not even just he gives it to himself. That third skill is all AoE. That third skill is all party.
Oh shit, that is party. Oh my god, that's even better.
Right? And the best part is the arts up is guaranteed.
Yeah, everything else is a 60% chance, but you will get the arts performance.
You will get the arts performance, and the first skill is a charisma. So you are getting a scaled multiplicative charisma with arts up, right?
And on top of that, he has that invisibility for 2 attacks or 3 turns.
Right? So like he has that, which is really strong, which is why I'm like, all right, I might consider putting him at like A+, because like that's 2 party-wide skills on top of the fact that that second skill being a targetable battery. Right,
really?
Targetable 20% battery, and it's increasing buff success rate. If you put that on himself, that increases it to an 80% chance. No, sorry, a 100% chance to proc the 3-turn 50% crit damage up and the 50% star rate. All of that lasting for 3 turns, and then you take into account that his Noble Phantasm is a AOE NP gauge down, AOE crit attack chance down, a 30% bare minimum party attack up for 3 turns, and a damage cut.
Fuck it. Shit, that's a lot. There's very little doubts. I don't see a weak point here. Next, Saber! Let's talk about fucking Beni-Enma. I want to say A to start.
I want to say A+.
I'm probably will move to A+, but I'm starting at A. I have her, and I have her reasonably leveled. She does a lot, and she is often overlooked because there's just so many good servants that came out this year. But Beni-Enma, first of all, stat-wise is really good. Hit-wise, really good. Even though she only has one quick card, it's 6 hits and 3 hits on the arts. The fact that she's like pseudo support in that she can increase party attacks, also increase buff removal resistance, and charges MP with the 3rd skill. Yeah, you give the enemies HP, whatever, it's 1,000. They're gonna get their ass kicked. They're just gonna be gone real soon. You also reduce their defense, reduce their critical attack, and seal their MP, which can be super critical in turns where it'd be like, oh, I'm in challenge quest. All right, can't use MP.
Also,
right
don't
now.
forget, when you steal NP, they actually can't gain NP.
Yeah, it's dead. They're stuck there. So there's that. The fact that she has 5 passives cannot be ignored either.
Bring up the passives, not because she has 5 of them, but because of something that's actually really important, and the sole reason I was going to put her at A+. She can't be skilled.
Yeah, she cannot. Her skills cannot. There's a direct immunity to her skills being sealed.
So, like, it may not seem like a lot, but a lot of future fights have skill seal. A lot of really important boss fights have skill seal. So, like, she will guaranteed be able to always use her skills. That's important. That's great.
Also, let's talk about that MP. The fact that if you're dealing with chaotic or evil or both, she just does a shit ton of damage to you. Just like...
And that's not even taken into account. She already just does a shit ton of damage.
Yeah, on her own. I believe the fucking trees are chaotic evil. I believe. I gotta see that real
Like,
fast.
don't forget that, like, she has passively a 10% increase to her arts performance. Her 3rd skill is a party-wide 20% attack up for 3 turns. She has a 40% 3-turn critical damage on her evade, right? Like, you can feel like safe using that. You can feel safe using that solely for the crit damage up. Especially considering you can technically say that that's a 50% increase because of independent action A. Like, she has a lot going for her, and there's not a lot of downsides.
Yeah, no, the tree is not chaotic, but it's definitely evil. So she's slaying fucking trees. Might as well call her a lumberjack.
She's a fucking woodpecker.
I'll honestly will put her at A, because even though she's limited, she does have multiple rate ups.
A+.
And she's just good. A+, sorry. I know I misspoke. A+. Another A+ unit. Next, Saber! Lakshmibai! A at least. A at least. Overshadowed, overlooked Saber. Really hated.
She can farm. She needs a little bit of help, but she can do it.
Yeah.
She can do it, like, pretty alright. All of her cards hit multiple times, which is a really good sign. Her skills are not bad.
Nope. Not at all.
Like, she has a nice survivability with her 3rd skill and her 1st skill.
I love the fact that her 3rd skill literally makes her other skills 100%. So she's self-sufficient in that. So, like, yeah, no, if you don't have that up, then yeah, no, there's a 60% chance to increase party crit star generation, critical damage, healing regeneration, damage cup. Yeah, that's not that great, but literally, you level up the last skill to 10, its success rate's 100%. It's gonna happen, so you just get
if she had like an NP generation increase, or a quick up that she gave herself, or like something else, she would be A+, I feel. Like, she would be a lot better.
She's really close. I just realized something. Her 3rd skill, even though it has a demerit to debuff resistance by 20% for 3 turns, her Goddess Essence gives her a passive 20% debuff resistance. So it's negated. And on top of that, she has magic resistance, which gives her an additional debuff resistance of 20%. So, like, holy shit. Okay. Passively, 40% debuff resist. So it's really hard to get a debuff on her. Jeez. Okay.
And she's actually, like, really solid, hence why I would consider her the bare minimum for Sabers. Obviously think that there are other A tiers that are better than her, but like, Lakshmi is the line you need to meet to be a good Saber, I feel.
Makes Lost Belt 4 a little harder for you guys, except for that Jinako's on banner 1 and she sucks. Next Saber! Ya boy! Jason of the Argonauts.
Easy A+.
I'm already putting them there. Some
Like,
people might.
He's probably, like, out of all Sabers, the easiest A+ with the easiest argument for EX. It just comes down to, like, personal preference at that point. Right? Like, since the moment he came out, he's been one of the best arts farmers. Bar none. He's one of the best arts farmers. For 7 months, he was touted as one of the best AoE arts farmers, just flat out. He has an incredibly strong kit. His Noble Phantasm is incredibly strong as well, and it snowballs really hard and incredibly easily. You have enough tools in the game that, like, it just makes the merits he does have a non sequitur. And then the pseudo, like, support he has to just make other units better by a lot is really strong as well.
And that list isn't small. It's a decent.
Like, that list is actually, like, decently large. 12 units! The first bronze saber in the game, and he's easy A+. I would argue him to be EX because of all this. Because of how easy it is for him to loop, being able to hit 5 times on his Noble Phantasm, the fact that his NP gives him a stackable arts. So, like, the more you loop, the more arts that you get.
Yeah, because the arts performer lasts for 3 turns on that NP.
So, like the more you do it, the more he loops, the stronger and easier it gets to loop. He's incredibly self-sufficient. His pseudo support is incredibly strong. His base skills are incredibly strong. He's got really good stats.
You to put some put some effort into him now.
Like, the only like direction he has to go is up, right?
But that does require the investment. So,
like if you I think that would be the only thing holding him back from EX, I guess, right? Like, you put some grails into him, put some foes into him, right? You invest in him, and he becomes one of the best units in the game.
But it requires that investment. I think that's where we have with Nero Bride, right off of rip, you get her, you're good. Like, you don't need to do anything else. You have it complete. Whereas with Jason, he is really good. He is complete. But if you're not willing to give him something so he can shine the best, like the grails and the foes, then he will fall down. Granted, you can say that about everyone here, but
it's easy. It's due to the fact that he's a 1-star, you know? His stat pool, like, his HP stat pool is actually really good.
Yeah, 11.
It's his attack. It's his attack stat pool, right? Like, there's both good things and bad things about him being a 1-star. The fact that he only costs 3. So, like, team comp wise, you can, if you want him to be your main looper, you can afford to be a little pricey. With the CEs and the units used to support him, it doesn't become an issue. Like, he's an easy A+.
For sure. Next, Saber! Let's talk about Saber Hokusai.
Another easy A+, in my opinion!
It's hard. I'm gonna put her at A for now, but I might raise it to A+. Let's talk about it, because Saber Hokusai, first of all, is a free 4-star Saber that you can get to MB5 just so long as you participate in the summer event that's happening this year. This year, and you're gonna want to participate in that anyway because it's a GP event. You're gonna get money out of this, so you are already incentivized. She's
really strong.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over the kits again. The fact that 20% MP gauge with 20 bomb right off rip, 5-turn cooldown, second skill. Increases that star absorption, and she has a guts for 1 time or 3 turns, so survivability there. Third, increases her art performance for 3 turns, and what is this? On self buff.
So when Hoku Saber crits, she gets a stacking crit damage buff.
Interesting.
Right. So think of it. And since the stacking buff lasts for 3 turns, you can essentially have 9 turns of crit damage on her. Because it's not limited to times, it's limited to the amount of turns that she can crit.
On top of that, her MP damage for 1 turn increase at the beginning of the turn.
is a 30 to 70%.
She has a lot of multiplicative stackable buffs here between the MP damage, the normal damage, the arts damage, the crit damage for normal attacks.
Following that, she also hits 4 times on all of her cards. Her attack stat is actually kind of high. The fact that she has a pretty alright NP charge rate. Her HP pool isn't very low, so like you can be a little wild with her.
And the only rough thing about her skills is those 20 bells. Other than that, she's really easy. You can at least get her to 8.
And the fact that you can honestly just get her to MP5, so you're gonna have that 15% single target, that 1500% single target damage on her.
Right off rip.
Like, right off rip.
Imagine her with Artoria. She gets even better.
She dumb. And on top of that, if you look at her bond CE, it's actually really good. Like, for the first time, we have like one of the rare occasions where her bond CE is really good.
Increases her own MP damage by 30%, and when defeated, increases MP damage, but for the party by 15% for 3 turns.
Like, she has a really good bond CE, and does her job incredibly well as a single target.
When defeated, I wonder if that counts her guts. Well, if that included when her guts proc. Just give everyone. That sounds like some testing. I don't have a bond CE for her. Got JP. That requires testing. Still, no, I agree. And the fact that she's welfare makes this an easy A+, and after everything we talked about. If you had to roll for her, I'd be a little more hesitant, but you just get her for free. Just play the event. That's it. Do that, you have a very good arts Saber servant, single target Saber servant, that will set you up for life. And combine that with Jason, like, you can get some of the better servants without having to spend any coins. Now let's talk about why Saber Astolfo's a B. Next, Saber!
I was gonna put him at A. Why you gotta do Astolfo like that, man?
Because he's not as good as Okita. That's why.
That's a response I can respect.
He is a fine unit, but he is Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory up in here.
He's a unit that really needs something.
Like, don't get me wrong, his first skill isn't bad at all. The fact that he can charge his MP from 10 to 20% over 3 turns and removes own debuffs, it's really good on a 5-turn cooldown. That's really good. That second skill.
His second skill is not the best.
The fact that his evasion is 3 attacks in 3 turns, so either he gets burnt down the 1 turn, or he somehow can't be touched. But then
over the course of like 3 turns.
But if that's the case, are they attacking him that much? It's weird.
His third skill is his best skill.
But he only has 1 Buster card.
Yes, that sucks.
So that means you're only going to be able to take advantage of that at most 2 times.
That sucks, by the way. Like, the fact that that's what happened. No, that's
if
dumb.
that was quick, I would say he's A. If that was quick cards. Or arts cards.
My issue with him is that his overcharges a stacking quick buff, which is really nice, which can scale multiplicatively with the attack up that he gets. So like that works. The issue is he doesn't really loop very well.
Yeah, no,
right?
his MP charge rate is 0.52. He's not a... It's going to take some work to get him to loop. Top of that, his quick cards don't hit.
Right, and the fact that, like, while yes, he's a double arts and a double quick, he doesn't actually, like, his stats don't really mesh with the skills very well. Like, him just being Astolfo holds him back, because that second skill is really, really hit or miss. And the fact that he has, like, a second skill that's almost dead, I was going to put him at A, right? I was going by our own stat, our own saying for B. That B class is people who feel like they're 1 buff away from being good.
And yeah, no,
I would put Astolfo at B.
That would be there. Anyway, next Saber, Dioscuri. Can we just say I love 1/2 of Dioscuri?
one half of Dioscuri is really cute, and I like the design of. The other half pisses me off in every single regard because that is the dumbest reason I've ever heard to be an Avenger.
I do say that first skill is really that's interesting. I love that. Like, alright, if it's a quick card, charge its own MP. If it's an arts, gain critical stars. Like, that's pretty good. And you're a double arch, double quick, and this is 3 turns. That's pretty nasty.
They don't have anything to buff the Buster card. The major gameplay issue I have is that, yes, they have a mana burst, a 3-turn mana burst that caps out at 20% for both quick and arts, but there's no, like, neutral outside of that, right? Like, they have a 1-turn their second
party
skill,
attack.
Their second skill is a 1-turn steroid. Obviously for the MP. Like, obviously for the MP. And the MP's really strong. Don't get me wrong. That's an 8-hit single target invincibility defense buff ignoring NP. That also reduces arts and quick resistance.
So
right?
2 of the 3 card types, all of a sudden now you're a lot weaker too.
Like, Dioscuri's not bad. I just don't like them.
That's fair. In combination with the passives, they have almost every card type covered. They will just do damage. Solid A. I don't know if I want to say A+ though, but definitely good.
I wouldn't say A+.
But definitely good. Next, Saber! Let's talk about Tomoe Saber.
Solid A.
Very, very good. You're gonna
solid A.
They're definitely getting better.
There's a really big issue with Tomoe though, and that's she can't reliably loop.
That's a shame too, because it looked like you would think, looking at her, that she'd be able to.
She can loop, but she can't reliably do it.
Why is it only 1 turn for the second skill?
Like she has 1 turn arts up, and that sucks, yes. But the issue is her MP. Her MP only hits 3 times.
Oh no, I see.
Right, and that's the issue that Muramasa has. Right, and it's why Jason still remains like one of the premier AoE arts farmers. Right, because hit count matters the most when you're farming with arts. Hit count matters a lot, which is why Tomoe is very inconsistent, because she only hits 3 times, and because she doesn't have any skills that increase that NP generation rate, and instead it's all this weird survivability, like, pseudo-stun, face card, crit damage. Like, she doesn't really have anything else to help with her NP. And then her NP does have an arts performance up, but it only lasts for 1 turn, so it can't help with the next turn.
I think we're sold on an A. Sure.
Yeah, she's not bad, but like the fact that her kit and her MP hold her back from like doing the job people want her to do, that a 1-star can do better. I can't compare her to Jason.
Next, Saber. Bravo!
You're gonna put him at A.
At the start.
You put him at
to start, because I'm probably gonna put him at A+. But I'm just pulling up all the stats and stuff to remind myself. But he's really fucking good.
He's strong. He's strong, and I'm mad because he's not as strong as he could have been. Because his skill, once again, has the stupid fucking 3 attacks for 3 turns bullshit.
But that first skill, goddamn.
That first.
Arts and Buster, 3 turns, 10 to 20%, and you just get a 20 bomb on a 5-turn cooldown.
His second skill is like a really solid survivability with an evade and a 3-turn defense up. It's his third skill that, like, it's good. It's really good, but it could have been great.
It's because of that 3 attacks for 3 turns. That's really...
Like, if they had taken, like, I would have been more alright with it if they just let it be a 3-turn 30% attack up. I would be more alright with the 3 attacks for 3 turns, 100% crit damage. It's the fact that it's also the attack up.
Yeah, it's that multiplicative buff there. But I will say it's still pretty good that you can at least reduce their arch resistance for 3 turns. But 4 MP, he has an arch
really strong.
That's good. That's really good.
Like his stats are also really nice. He has a pretty alright charge rate, so he's not like lacking in being able to get that back.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'm good with putting him at A+. Next, Saber! Watanabe no Suna. New boy. New boy,
New perma boy.
New perma boy with the bowl cut. Stat-wise, really good, really strong. Skill-wise, also very good.
I really like the theming that they were going with him. Like, outside of the fact that like 200% of his extra damage is tied towards Oni enemies. Like, outside of that, which is very niche, like, you don't honestly fight a lot of Onis. But like, outside of that, really nice that he has a sure hit. Really nice that he has a 3-turn 40% buster up. Really nice that he has something affecting his arts cards in terms of like star absorption, and it also is an NP generation increase, right? So he has 2 skills, his first and his second, that affect his buster and his arts star absorptions, and they affect them in the way that they should be, right? So like, you want to draw cards to your buster cards, have a 50% crit damage up. You want to draw cards to your arts cards, have a 50% NP generation increase. Like, it is very, very good and plays into itself very well. Am I a fan of the first skill being 3 times for 3 turns? No, I never will be. But I'm okay with it because of the way that it plays out.
And plus, the critical star absorption for buster cards is always
It's 3 turns. It's for 3 turns.
It's just the crit damage that is also tied.
I like that his NP hits like single target 3 times, which is very nice, because that's just more damage. He's just a character that shits damage. I feel like he's missing something to be A+.
Right.
You know, I feel like he's missing just that little bit. If his third skill was the ability to also mark a target as an Oni, easy A+.
Yeah, that'd be so good. Easy A at the very least. Next, Saber! Let's talk about apparently one of the newest female Sabers to wear a Virgin Killer sweater, Ibuki Doji.
I feel like she just, by the nature of like a 50 bomb battery on top of like being an AoE, she has to be A.
At the very least, bare minimum A.
Right, and she ignores invincibility, and she ignores defense, and she lowers buster resistance, and that's all on her MP.
And she increases her own buster performance.
Like, I'm not even looking at that. I'm just looking at like what her Noble Phantasm does on top of a 50% battery. Like,
I mean, but then you dig even deeper, and then you see even the passives add into 4 passives, but they're all fucking good.
4 passives that like are really nice. The fact that she has a unique goddess essence, right? Buff removal resistance instead of just debuff resistance. She has a 12% buster increase, 9% quick increase, which sucks, but whatever. Riding, whatever you're gonna do about it, it's a Saber skill. Yeah. Her first skill is really nice. I still, again, hate 3 times for 3 turns. Her second skill is just really strong. It's just a really solid, strong second skill.
Buster performance for 3 turns, and own defense for 3 turns, and the 20 bomb. That's
right. So it's just really solid, and you can't go wrong with it. The third skill, also really strong, but can be a dead skill because it's half of the skill going to waste because of the undead damage increase.
Plus
who really cares, because it's a 50% 3-turn crit damage increase?
That's insane. Like, even if you want to say, oh, I just want to seal this opponent's MP for a turn, you still have 2 other turns to use the other 2 parts of the buff if you wanted to use that. So while normally I don't like it when they split up the offensive style buff with a defensive
style,
but the fact they made one of them last longer, it's like, okay, now there's benefit. You're like, alright, seal their turns for now, and I still have 2 other turns where I can take advantage of this buff.
I have no problem having her at A, but if we want to move her up to A+, I wouldn't be too upset with it. I could understand why.
I don't know. Like, she's limited too. So far.
I'm more okay with accepting the A+ decision because of the fact that her NP will always do the maximum amount of damage because it ignores invuln and defense.
You have to take these 4 hits AoE.
You have to catch these hands.
Yep, you gotta catch these tails. Also, if you keep her in force form, you're weird. Next, Saber! Karna
Talk about catching these hands! Easy A+. Easy A+. Really easy A+. You know why? Because this motherfucker is comparable to Rider Kintoki.
He is. It's crazy. Like, Rider Kintoki's a year 1 welfare.
Me just saying comparable to Rider Kintoki makes me want to say EX.
Because Rider
like,
Kintoki
just that
is EX.
sentence.
That's a
Because
spoiler.
Rider Kintoki is EX.
Alright, so let's dig into why he's like that. First of all, it says he's a welfare server. You're going to get MP5 at him regardless, so long as you play the event. So already, like with Hokusai, you're going to get MP5. So you're getting 2,000 damage. Like,
not only that, he hits 8 times and removes guts from the enemy.
yes, a single target.
While a little niche, that can come in handy. Especially with specific boss fights against servants, if they happen to have guts. He's a Saber, so if you happen to fight any Lancers, or Sabers, or like cavalry class units that have guts, oh, that's no longer an issue. And because he does he shits damage, like, it's a non-issue.
But what about that first skill with the 3x3 turns that you hate so much?
Again, it's also a 3 turn 50% crit damage up.
That is true. You're getting something out of it.
You're getting something like really good out of it. On top of the fact that, like, passively, he also gets a 12% Buster crit damage increase.
That's insane to me. This is...
On top of the fact that he also has his second skill is a 500% star absorption for 1 turn, while also increasing the crit damage of his quick cards by 100%, on top of the 50% that he gets in the previous turn.
Yeah. Yeah, no, seems good.
The reason why he's comparable to Rider Kintoki is Rider Kintoki can loop his Noble Phantasm very easily on top of having a 50 bomb. So you can throw him into the field with either a max limit broken K-scope or like a 50 charge CE, immediately charge your Noble Phantasm and just nuke that person, because they both have the same overcharge. They both get a quick performance up that activates first and lasts for the rest of the turn.
Mm-hmm.
So the other 2 quick cards after that chain get that bonus. So Rider Kintoki can loop and go NP after NP. Santa Karna can crit and face roll your ass into the ground and does shit tons of damage. He shits damage. Martha taught this boy well.
That's so crazy to me. I'm so proud of Martha. I knew she was a good teacher. Next, Saber! Now we're down to the latest Saber. The one that you guys have been freaking out about since it's come out. We've heard rumors that they are Grand Saber, the best Saber of all time. Like the
Really
arch-looping god,
Really
Muramasa, that comes out 2021 or 2023 in an A.
He's not EX.
It's not. I agree.
He's not EX.
Really good! Not
I would say I feel confident and okay putting him at A+.
I agree with that as well.
Like, he's really strong.
Pushed!
But
he's pushed.
He's really pushed to be really strong. But he's really lacking with looping. So, like, farming and looping is, like, actually, like, not the easiest thing with him. Like, again, there's a reason why Jason is incredibly strong and why I keep saying Jason is better than Muramasa. I'm not talking on, like, a single target damage or, like, a neutral game damage. I'm talking what you use them for, which is farming. And Jason is premier. Jason is premium. Muramasa, because he has the issue of Tomoe with 3 hits on his MP, you have to buff the ever-living shit out of him to overkill. He needs to overkill or he will not loop. Yes, he has the 50% battery. But the 50% battery is a caveat. It is the, oh shit, I didn't get the percentage I needed. I have to press this button.
But it's still there. And it also has the added benefit of going
that doesn't
beyond.
matter.
Yeah.
That the blaze buff doesn't matter.
In farming.
Right? Because I'm looking at him as a farming unit. I'm not looking at him as a single target unit because there are just better single targets than him.
You do have to open up the field, and while he is a farming unit, you know there are going to be people using him for challenge quests.
Obviously, there are going to be people who want to use him for challenge quests. They'd be dumb, but there will be people who use him for challenge quests.
Removing the offensive buff could be a play.
It could be a play, but it would also lower your overall damage output because you're using an AoE when you would have been better off using a single target.
I get you.
Right? I'm not saying you can't do it.
Right.
But he is made to be AoE. He is made to wave clear. And you would be making your job harder and working yourself harder to get a result that you would be easier obtained with a single target.
We'll say as well that, like Ibuki, he is going to get his damage through. You are not going to stop that, especially if he procs his second skill. Ibuki is a little bit easier because it's tied into her MP.
Because it's tied into the MP.
But if you do have it up for that one turn, not only is he ignoring the invincibility, he's increasing the damage against evasion and invincibility. So, like, if people try to turtle up, they're getting hit even harder. But, that, again, relies on the fact that you have that skill up. It is on a 6-turn cooldown.
It is on a 6-turn cooldown. That particular buff only lasts for one turn.
Crit generation and crit damage lasts for 3. But that,
right.
You would only be able to do that for one turn.
You would only do that for one turn, so it would be a one-turn nuke. I'm not saying he's bad, and I'm not saying he can't do it, but your result would be a lot easier to obtain. Especially considering yes, his first skill is a 50% boost to all 3 card types, but that doesn't make sense because he's a double buster, double arts. Why are you having a 50% on quick? Right? It would have been better if it was a going too deep into it. Sorry.
No, for me,
he's just a solid A plus.
I'm just mad because he's clearly fucking pushed as hell. And then we see, like, my favorites, like Okita, which year 1, and we can't even give her a regular attack up. We gotta give her, let's see, attack percentage for a certain amount of turns. Not even turns, just times. Whereas this boy increases all his card types for one turn 30 to 50% with crit star absorption, with 15 crit stars, on top of a weird-ass third skill that gives him 50% MP, and when he attacks, he gets a max of 10% MP for 3 turns. What the fuck? I'm mad! Why? Why are you giving this Shiro face all this shit? It just goes to show you, if your fate stay night, you're gonna get everything you want. Let's look at Kama, let's look at Space Ishtar, and now Muramasa. God damn it, I'm mad.
I'm mad. Like, he's really pushed, but, like, he's not EX. There's probably going to be a lot of people that are mad with that. I'm going to get a lot of hate for saying he's not better than Jason in farming.
He's not. I would use Nero Bride over Muramasa.
But, like, he's not EX.
Not at least according to our list. So, yeah, that's the tier list. Did you like this video? Did you like our thoughts? Did you like the fact you can hear Tristan in a video? I gotta know. Go ahead and comment down below and let us know what your tier list for Sabers is. And once again, thank you to Opera GX for sponsoring this video. Once again, go ahead, down in the description, download Opera GX, give it a shot. I guarantee you're gonna love it. I'm gonna go ahead and leave a link to the tier list in the description, so that way you just click on that, you fill it out yourself, and hey, head over to our Discord and show us your results. The link also in the description. You gotta check out the description right now, guys. But that's not all. We also have another one of these tier list videos, but for archers, coming up. So if you want to see that one, hit that subscribe button, smash that bell so you're notified when we upload it, because we got some more controversial opinions that you'll want to see. Until next time, my name is Musashi from the Academy of Heroes, and I'm sitting here with Tristan, and we're logging out. Bye-bye! Oh, they're gonna be so mad.